I got it.
No.
Hello.
Can you email me a copy of the resolution?
I did. It should be in your box.
And it is.
And try again.
No, I have it. Thank
Oh,
you.
all right.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
I just wanted to print it out so I can read it to the public during our public comment. Okay.
Well, that would have been funny.
Sorry for the delay. See who I have.
I think we're live.
I'm sorry.
I think we're live.
Okay. Can you give me 1 minute while I go get this paperwork off the printer? Then we can get started.
Okay.
Thank you, Jesus. I just want to say for the record, I haven't been exercised. And them vets are trying to take me down. The devil's alive. Okay. Good evening, all.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome to our August 10th council meeting, City of Coatesville council meeting. And right now, I would like to ask if someone would offer a prayer for us.
Sure, I would like to offer a moment of silence.
Okay.
Ashe.
Thank you. And who has a flag for?
You have the flag, Madam President.
I have one too.
Okay. I pledge allegiance
allegiance
to the
to the
flag
flag, of the United States of America,
American,
and to the republic
republic for
which
which
it
it stands,
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you much. What I need to do is acknowledge that we had two called executive sessions on July 16th and August 3rd, wherewith we discussed personnel and legal matters. And then, excuse me, we're just coming out of our executive session where we also discussed personnel and legal matters. And now I would like to get approval for our July 13th meeting.
Make that motion.
Was that?
I'll make that motion.
Green.
I'll second it.
Green and Mr. Simpson. Questions or comments? Full council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Ms. Salamine,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Green,
Yes,
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes. And also, please make note that Councilwoman Hunt is not here as of yet, but we do expect her.
All right.
Okay, and our revised June 25th meeting
I'll
minutes.
make that motion.
I second.
Questions or comments? Full council, please.
Mrs. Green,
yes,
Ms. Graves, sorry,
Yes.
Ms. Salamine,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Ms. Lavender Norris.
Yes. Okay, and on to our approval of our accounts payable. Could I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Questions, comments?
I have a couple comments. So on page 11 of 220, there was an invoice for $2,277.50 for the HVAC in the police station. And I know that periodically, every couple of months, we have an invoice similar to that. So I asked Richard to pull the invoices for this year. So thus far this year, that unit has been serviced 5 times for a total of $8,000. So I'm just thinking that because we're coming up on the budget, we may want to revisit the HVAC system in the police station. So there was a new unit put on the roof, but the actual equipment in the police station, from what Mr. Troutman tells me, is 30+ years old. So since we're coming up on the budget, I think we may want to revisit that, because if we're going to pay a few $1,000s every couple of months, we might want to look at other options. Then page 19 of 220 for the codes medical. So King Lovett left a couple months ago, but for some reason, he is still appearing for insurance purposes as far as our billing is concerned. So I want to make sure that going forward, when an employee leaves at the end of the month, the insurance company is notified. For whatever reason, Mr. Troutman explained to me that Mrs. Grant just wants to pay that whole almost $9,000 bill, which is a third higher than what it should be, and then just wait for reimbursement. I disagree with that. I say we pay the bill we owe. It doesn't make sense to pay them additional and then wait for a credit in return that may take 30 or 60 days. So I disagree with paying that bill. And the very last on page 70 of 220, there were 3 properties that were reassessed as far as their value is concerned. And we get those every year, but going forward, I would like to see if finance can give it to the admin and the admin share it with council. So if we have multiple or big buildings that are going for a reassessment, then council and admin can decide if we want to send our solicitor, because some kind of way, these 3 particular buildings, and one was originally valued at over $3 million. And it has now went down to $769,000. And some kind of way, this was all overlooked last year. Yeah, the council president, this is the building this particular building that was originally assessed at $3,127,000 is now assessed at $769,500. And I would have, said, oh, send our solicitor to this because that's a HUD building and they collect their rents every month. And so it's guaranteed rent. So we now occurred a $66,000 deficit because of it. Because to them, there was 3 buildings. To them, we have to return for last year, $31,789.32. And we have to return that again this year. And then there's 2 smaller ones. And this bill that is in our packet that came from the treasurer, from Patricia Maisano's office, it's a duplicate bill that was sent out in 2019. So I don't know how a bill of this magnitude slipped through the cracks last year. And because it did, we are certainly way past the appeal period. But, people do this, they go in for reassessments all the time. So going forward, Mr. Logan, if it's possible and it's agreeable to council, I would like it when the city receives the list, if either Mr. Troutman or Mr. Logan could forward it to council so we can decide whether or not we want our solicitor present and, he can get comps of his own, because that one is an extremely large hit. And how are we going to recoup? We're already in August and getting ready to go into the budget.
North 2nd Avenue.
Yes, that was the one that was assessed at originally $3,127,000, and last year, the county, although we have the right to be present, the county reassessed it at $769,500. And I'm not sure why it went down over, I've had a property reassessed, but over $2 million? And we
Ms.
didn't even have the knowledge of that?
Ms. Alameen,
Yes.
that was due to a court order. That wasn't just the assessment office doing that. That was that it appears from that statement that there was a court order which ordered that reduction. So the school district likely litigated that matter and lost.
Okay, but then, I understand that, but how did we not know of it last year? It just finalized this year? Because in the packet, it says it's a duplicate bill from 2019.
It's a tax, it's a tax duplicate, which is the billing for the tax purposes. But it
Yeah.
had to be changed as a result of the court order. So who knows when this was even litigated? It might have
Okay,
been-
but when these things go over there, the city does, if they so desire, have a right to go, correct? Because if we don't like the findings, we can appeal. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so if we got it ahead of time, then council could decide whether or not it was worthy of us sending you to, or whomever would represent us on that. Because these, reassessments happen quite often. And when that happens, we just lose that tax revenue. So we have to stay on top of that because we have to incorporate that in our future, in our budget. And that's the only three that I have.
My question regarding your last question, Councilwoman Alameen, on the paperwork, it says Coatesville Borough. So I first want to say, is there a North Second Avenue in Coatesville Borough? And
Well,
then,
no, I don't know
further-
if that, I agree. I saw that. They all say Coatesville Borough, and I'm not understanding why that is.
right,
And they all appear to be North Second Avenue LDT Partnership. And it has an Atlanta, Georgia
right,
address.
right.
Yeah, so I don't know why it would say Coatesville Borough. Maybe that's something that we need to rectify with the county. But I know these assessment changes happen pretty frequently, so we're going to have to incorporate. I know Richard, when I spoke to Richard, he said he tries to incorporate some because they happen, but nothing to the equivalent of what we're looking at with this.
But Tony, the duplicate that it says here is not meaning that this is a duplicate bill like they sent it to us last year. It means that it's a duplicate of the tax bill, right?
Right, that's a term of art used in taxation, yes.
It's not that
It's not a copy, it's,
Yes,
the duplicate is the bill itself.
But Mr. Troutman said we now owe for 2 years. That's what takes it up to 66,000.
yeah, but I'm saying they just gave it to us. It wasn't like they sent it to us last year and we ignored it.
So are we in a position to appeal, or have we missed the appeal period? And is there a way we can explain to them that this has just been brought to our knowledge?
Yeah,
I would say no. It looks like there was a court order that's been issued. I don't know when that was issued. I'd have to look at that and see if there was but that's dated June 12. So we're well beyond the 30-day period that would be available to appeal. And if we were not a party in the first instance, we would not be allowed to file an appeal with the appellate courts.
Okay. Unfortunate, but
this is just with the school district.
very well. Are there any others for accounts payable? Poll council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
You all right?
Ms. Alamy,
Yes, with the exception of the invoice for the insurance,
invoice for the insurance.
for the codes insurance. I say we pay what we owe. We don't pay the extra and let them reimburse us. That's on page 19 of 220. It's codes medical. I say we pay what we owe. We don't pay for Mr. Lovett and then let them reimburse us. I say we adjust the invoice and pay what we owe, not the additional 1/3.
So are we
Do
going to?
we need to take a separate vote for that? Because I
Yeah,
think that's more of a process, that's more of an internal
well then-
accounting process.
Okay, well then, no.
Okay. Ms. Graves,
No.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes.
Thank you.
On to additions, deletions, and modifications.
Madam President, we have a couple, we have an addition of 6.5. It's just the retirement of city manager. Then we have modifications on 7.2 to change the date from September 5th to September 6th. And also under discussion items 7.5 and 7.6 can actually be combined to be all 7.5, I guess.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Question,
Sorry,
comment?
I didn't get the, I'm sorry, I didn't get the, who made the motion?
Councilwoman Green and Councilman Simpson second.
Thank you.
Are there any questions, comments, or any others? Co-counsel, please.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Salamine,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Hi there.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Mr.
How you?
Phillips,
Thumbs up, right?
Absolutely, too.
God bless you. I'm so proud, so happy, so thankful.
Thank you, Jesus.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes.
Thank you. We had a presentation this evening from our new superintendent. Unfortunately, due to a family emergency, he will not be able to attend this evening. We have invited him back for our next city council meeting on the 24th.
Very well. Thank you, sir. We pray that all goes well for him. So we're on to citizens' hearing.
Are there any?
Yes, there is one that I'm aware of. Hang on, I'm still trying to pull it up here. I'm trying, bear with me. It's Miss Shannon Bailey.
Yeah. August the 9th. Look at, oh no, August 9th.
Okay, her comment. Her comment is, hello, everyone. I have the following request for the public comment section of council meeting on 8-10 minutes. Number one, I request for a letter of support for my nonprofit Coatesville Area Juvenile Alliance. Number 2, request to schedule monthly Ash Park Community Cleanup Days. Number 3, a request for the City of Coatesville resolution for a National Juvenile Week resolution. Number 4, a request to present a Key to the City of Coatesville Award to Senator Andy Dinniman before he officially retires. Thank you for your consideration. That's from Lori Shannon Bailey, founder and CEO of Coatesville Area Juvenile Alliance. She's a youth justice advocate.
So the letter of support, is she applying for something that she needs us to, or just a support period?
That we would have to talk with her about.
Mhm.
That's just what she sent in. So, you know, it's just going to require a little more backstory.
Yeah.
Mr. Folks, the one item on there, I guess you could, you and either or Councilwoman Graves and Councilwoman Alameen, but definitely you, Mr. Folks, because that's your ward, your designated ward. So if you would like to.
About Ash Park?
Yes, sir. Number 2, the community cleanup days.
Yeah.
If you would like to speak with her about that.
I will.
And, you know, the rest of them, we have to get a little more information before we could move on that. And now, I don't think we have any further, Mr. Logan, am I right? We don't.
I don't have any additional ones.
Very well. Thank you, sir. Okay, so now I just need a motion to close.
Make that motion.
I'm sorry,
I'll
please
make
say
that
that again.
motion.
I'll second it.
Thank you.
Ms. Alameen, Mr. Simpson, questions, comments?
Yeah, I have a question. Since we've been doing the YouTube for city council meetings, or citizens' comments have been very low or not existent, is it maybe a clarification needs to be addressed again on how they make those suggestions, or they bring forth their comments? We're not really getting any.
Mr. Logan,
Yes.
could you expound on that, inform the public how to go about with their citizens' comment?
Sure. Just for all the listeners out there tonight, there are 2 ways to, listen to our council meetings. The first is through the Zoom link, but the City of Coatesville has a City of Coatesville YouTube channel that you can go on to or connect onto. On our particular YouTube channel, there is an opportunity for you to submit any comments that you would like to make, or anything that you would like to add to next month's, or I should say 2 weeks from now, the upcoming agenda, which will be August 24th. So if you have anything that you would like to put on that particular agenda on August 24th, you can submit through the YouTube channel. If you have any comments, you can do the same. And we do have Ruth Ann standing by to read off any comments. Ruth Ann, are you there? Ruth Ann, you want to chime in? Did I give the proper directions?
Not there.
Okay.
Or is she
There,
muted?
she muted.
Sometimes she's doing two things at once. So hopefully she heard. And if the information or if the button's not working, you can also I think we do have an info
Yeah.
at coastville.org.
Okay.
Oh, there you are, Ruth Ann.
I don't have any on here now.
Okay. So is there a button on YouTube that they can click on and submit comments?
Yes.
Okay. And if that button is not working, are we accepting them through the info at coastville.org? Hello?
Is she muted again?
Okay. Her mic is not working. So is the second way for people to chime in is info at coastville.org?
Yes.
Okay. Just confirming, the second way is to submit any comments to info at coastville.org. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're on to our regular action items.
Do we close citizens hearings?
Yes. No, we did not
She
vote,
didn't pull.
but we did motion and second.
All
So
right.
full council, please.
Thank you. Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Want to talk to you today?
okay, I'm sorry. I was just informed that we do have one more.
Good one, get on there.
It was just added to YouTube. Let me see if I can pull it up here. All right, I just received it here. All right. Okay, with council's permission, I will read the comment from Ms. Wendy Whitaker.
Thank you. Please.
It says, good evening. I have a concern about the spotted lantern flies. The city has an infestation of them. I called the Department of Agriculture to see what could be done, who then referred me to Penn State Extension. They informed me that the Department of Agriculture will only treat or cut down the tree of heaven on state property, not on private property. If you live in the city, you should be aware of the tree of heaven, which is the tree that these flies thrive on. If you have ever parked under or near one of these trees, you will find your car covered with sap-like spots. Those spots are actually the flies' excrement. I'm a homeowner and my neighbor is a renter. Because the landlord thought the price to have the tree of heaven cut down was too high, I went half on the cost, even though the tree was not in their yard. These trees are all over Coatesville. They start out looking like a weed. And then, that being said, Penn State Extension suggested that I contact the city to see if the city can make some kind of ordinance, or at least look into how they could go about and have the homeowners and landlords have these trees removed. Last year was the first year we were introduced to these invasive insects. This year, the population of them is probably 3 times of last year. Next year, I can imagine what the city would be like. People have gardens, fruit trees, grapes, already known for destructive, or for how destructive these flies are. And that's signed by Miss Wendy T. Whitaker, resident of Coatesville.
Yeah, they are pretty bad.
I agree. They're horrible. They're
Mhm.
destroying a lot of things. At this point, with regard to the city, it's definitely an issue, but for us to be able to address anything regarding it, it would be a budgetary matter because we don't have anything of this nature included. I don't know where to go from here because they're in my yard also, and they're disgusting.
Madam President,
Yes, sir.
they do have some tree tape that you can put around your tree that will dispose of them. I heard on the news that within 2 years from now, they should be all gone. But if you do see them, they tell you to step on them, kill them. Because each fly can do 50 babies at any time. So it's a problem. It's it's worldwide. I know under my tree, I have a tree in my yard or the neighbor's yard, but my truck is white every morning because of these. Only thing you could do is, they got that tree tape.
Have you tried it, Donald? Does it work?
The tree tape does work.
It does.
It does work.
It works, but it's horrible. You put it on, and then when you go to take it off, it's all those bugs all
All
over
the
it.
bugs on it. Yeah.
Gross.
Right now, that's the only thing going. Is
I
that
can
tree
tell
tape.
you, last year when I was working in Pottstown, they were horrible up there. They were like they are now in Coatesville. And this year, they're not as bad up there as they were last year. I don't know what they did, if anything, up there, but there's a difference. There's a marked difference.
What type of
Started
tree
in
is
Berks
this
County.
tree?
They were imported from, they came over on containers from
Yeah.
China, and they were first reported in Berks County. And now
Oh.
they've expanded, yes. Yes, I am certified by Pennsylvania Department of Agriculture to identify and spot the spotted lanternfly.
Can you kill them?
You can kill them, yeah, kill every one of them, but as a transporter, all trucks that operate in a certain area, you have to have someone that has been trained by the Department of Agriculture and listed as like a competent person to, you got to train the drivers to, if they see those spotted lanternflies on the truck, they're supposed to take them off. It's a pain, but you got to have it. It's $300 fine if you don't have it.
Pesticides? Does pesticides kill them?
No, they haven't found anything that kills them
No.
yet.
No.
When they said to step on, kill them.
But they jump and fly and like, no,
I know,
I'm going the other direction.
Pretty good if you get enough of them. You can put them in a nice soup.
Full council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Folks,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Miss Alameen, Miss Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Miss Alameen,
Yes. I
Mrs.
said
Lavender
yes, but I
North.
guess you didn't hear me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Motion carries 7-0. Now we're on to our regular action items. And 6.1, receive and consider a second reading and adoption and ordinance 1536-2020. amending Chapter 108, which is fees of the general laws in the city of Coatesville, Pennsylvania, by deleting it in its entirety and replacing it with language permitting the setting of fees by resolution. Can I get a motion?
I'll
I'll
make
make
it.
it.
I'll second.
I'm sorry, first,
I think
was
it's,
that Mrs. Hunt?
Councilwoman Green, Councilwoman Hunt.
Thank you.
Would you please expound on this? It's the second reading, but just a reminder for the public.
This is a second reading for an ordinance amending Chapter 108 fees and general laws of the city of Coatesville. Again, we're deleting previous ordinance to update the city's fees for moving forward. So there's just some minor fee increases, and these will cover all fees associated to the city of Coatesville, and the umbrella would include everything from permit fees, contractor fees, tree removal fees, everything under our fee structure. This is and then after this particular reading, I think we have 30 days after this, if I'm not mistaken, Anthony.
Yes, Mr. Logan, just if I may, just to clarify a little bit. Currently, all the fees are set forth by ordinance, and each time, say, one single fee wants to be changed, the city has to go through the process of amending an ordinance, which has substantial expense related to it. And really, there's no flexibility. The purpose of this ordinance is to allow the city to set its fees by resolution, give more flexibility in setting those fees. Those resolutions will start to be voted on by council, but it won't be as time consuming and as expensive as going through the ordinance process. And now I apologize, but I forgot what your question was.
The question was, after our second reading, do we have 30 days and then it's adopted?
Yes, if council votes to adopt this ordinance this evening, it'll be effective in 30 days. So the council will have a resolution put before it to set those fees when this becomes effective, and we can just press on.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any questions or comments? Full council, please.
Mrs. Green,
yes,
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Alamin,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt, Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris,
Yes.
the easiest name. All right, thank you.
6.2, receive and consider a resolution stating its policy on equality and human rights.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Who is that? Who is that second?
Me.
Councilwoman Alameen. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my paperwork right here for you.
Excuse me.
Okay. I'm gonna read it out for the public's knowledge. It's resolution hashtag 2020-13, a resolution of the Council of the City of Coatesville, Chester County, Pennsylvania, stating its position on equality and human rights. Whereas the City of Coatesville is a third-class city operating by means of a home rule charter, and the city is a progressive community grounded in the concept that all individuals are entitled to fundamental equality and equality of opportunity. And whereas the city rejects prejudicial or discriminatory treatment of any person whether a resident or visitor. And whereas the city strives to apply a standard of equitable practices and fair treatment towards every individual. And now therefore be it resolved by the council of the city of Coatesville that it is the city of Coatesville's position, one, that all individuals in the city of Coatesville, whether resident or visitor, should be treated with equality and in recognition of their human rights, without regard to their actual or perceived race, color, age, religious creed, ancestry, sex, national origin, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or gender expression. In witness whereof, the council of the city of Coatesville has adopted and enacted this resolution this 10th day of August 2020. Signed by myself and attested by our assistant manager, Mr. Logan, as he does at this time sit in place as our substitute for Mr. Trio today. So are there any questions or comments regarding this resolution?
My only comment is I've always thought that the city has operated like this, you know, forever. And then, you know,
Non-discriminatory.
non-discriminatory. I thought we've always been a diverse community that treats everybody fairly and, you know.
Just clarifying.
Did we already have
Mhm.
something in place to this nature?
Yes.
ma'am.
That's
We
what I
do.
thought.
Yes, we did. But just
it was-
having it named in writing, I think is, you know, legislation. Since we're already doing it, I think it's great to just have it named out, just in clear English, black and white.
There was one,
Detailed. It is detailed already.
yeah, it was already on the books, but it was signed by previous councils and I guess we wanted to sign it ourselves.
Updated.
Updated, yeah.
with us.
So it's nothing new. We're just proceeding with what we've always done.
Yes.
Very good.
Any other questions or comments?
Is there any particular reason why we're updating it at this point? Since we already have it on paper.
No, there was
Councilwoman Graves had brought it to the table before, when she first got on council. I don't know, Councilwoman Graves, you could speak to this or not, whether you knew we already had.
Yes. So actually, I did see it, but I didn't think that the clarity was descriptive enough for the non-discrimination. So that's why I proposed just making it more clear and more descriptive and updating it.
Do we have a copy of the one that we have? I looked for it and I thought I had it, but I didn't.
It was in our older,
In the older charter?
no,
It was-
no.
It
We
was
had
just
it
in
in
our
one of
last
our
council
packs.
packet.
Yeah, it was
the
in
last
there, Ms.
one.
Moon. And when we read it, I had just asked Tony if he could, just that last line at the bottom, just redo it a little, just to break it down just a little bit more. But the original one said exactly the same thing. It just added the gender equality to the end.
Okay, thank you.
Any others? Full council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Alamin,
Yes.
Ms. Graves.
Yes.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes,
Like how that rolled off my tongue that time?
absolutely. Yes. And the motion carries 7-0. 6.3, receive and consider roadway restoration fee associated with the road opening permit be waived for Pennsylvania American Water Project. Mr. Logan, please.
So this is a request to waive a fee for the Pennsylvania American Water to do some work on Merchant Street. It's kind of standard practice that we have in waiving fees as a partnership with PA American Water. By doing so, they normally go above the scope of work that they do. So, you know, this is kind of a savings actually for the city. In return, we get much needed work from curb to curb, if you will, on some of the work instead of just maybe in the middle or a patch.
Yeah, they do curbing. They do paving curb to curb for the entire project area.
Can I get a motion?
I'll make
Make
that
that
I'll make the motion.
And who's
How about a
second?
second? How about a second?
Who made the
I'll
motion?
second.
Mr. Simpson, Ms. Graves. Any other questions or comments? Full council, please.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Alamin,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes,
Thank you.
motion carries 7-0. 6.4, receive and consider promotion of part-time officer Kevin E. Marville to full-time. Could I get a motion?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Chief, is Chief with us?
Yes.
Yep.
Chief, could you bring the public up to speed with promotion here?
Certainly, Madam President. If I could just take a minute, I'd like to read the letter of retirement that was submitted by Detective Kevin Campbell, which kind of sets the stage for the vacancy that we're going to refer to. He addresses it to Chief John Laufer. I said, I want to take this opportunity to thank the city of Coatesville for their trust and support in allowing me to serve as a Coatesville police officer for the last 21 years, the last 18 of which as a detective. I want to also thank my fellow coworkers for their support and dedication to the overall mission of the City of Coatesville Police Department. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve and protect the citizens of Coatesville. Effective Saturday, June 27th, 2020, I will proudly enter into retirement from my position as detective with the City of Coatesville Police Department. It has been my honor to serve under you, Chief Laufer, since your arrival as the leader of this department in January of 2013. You have transformed this department into one that serves and protects the citizens of Coatesville with fairness and respect. So we're sad to have Detective Campbell leave our ranks, but we do respect his decision to retire. And we do thank him for his 21 plus years of service to all the citizens of the city of Coatesville. So that is the vacancy that presents itself before council tonight. And it is our recommendation that we fill that vacancy by promoting a part-time officer to full-time. And that part-time officer is Officer Kevin E. Marville, who has been with the department since September of 2017 in the capacity of a part-time police officer and has served faithfully during those 3 years. And that's what brings us here tonight.
Thank you, sir. Are there any questions or comments?
I would just like to congratulate Detective Campbell on his retirement. And I will note that I will not be sad to see him go during the contract negotiations. He was a tough
Yeah.
negotiator,
You're right.
but he was a very good police officer, and he served faithfully, and he was just good. He was a good police officer all the way around, good person. So I hope he enjoys his retirement.
Ditto.
Any others?
Yes, I know, Mr. Burway, you said that for us to, as council, be able to do the kind of background check that where we see the information, that would be a legislative thing. Is that legislative at our level, where we would have to legislate that our council needs to be able to review what civil service sees and not just get a list? Is that for us to legislate?
I think there's a couple levels, Councilmember Graves. At a state level, there would have to be a requirement that those records are maintained in the first instance, and that they be passed forward with any future employer. I think if council wants to have a policy that background check information is to be discussed with them by chief, that'd be a policy decision for council that could be adopted by resolution.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any way that I can request that we table this until we talk about and discuss and vote on such a resolution?
No, it's been motioned and seconded.
Okay.
And I have one question, Mr. Verway, because when it was an item that you said could not be discussed in executive session. So in the COPS grant, where Mr. Logan explained it only required 2 signatures, Chief Lawfer and the city manager. Because the city is required to match a certain portion of that grant, why is it not required for council to vote on that as well, or is it required?
I
We
would
did
think
vote
that,
on it.
okay. Thank you, Mr. Simpson.
Excuse me?
We did vote on it.
Okay, can we possibly, Mr. Logan, can you possibly email that to me? Because
Yeah,
it was
can-
obviously before my tenure, so I don't have the knowledge of that, and it wasn't part of the information that was given to us.
Council did vote on it.
So
Okay,
what
well,
we
I
have
would
to
just like
do
to
is-
see it because it was before my tenure and it wasn't provided in our packet.
And so I'm sorry, you're
It
looking
would be in
for
the minute, it would have to be in the minutes from,
what year?
This contract expires
2017.
31st, 2020. So if Chief was
2017.
to write this grant again, if it's available, it could not be approved unless council voted on it, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. We
Yes,
voted
that-
before he submitted. Yeah.
Okay, so like okay, I would just like to see that if possible.
It was in the 2017 minutes. We did
Okay.
vote because I voted no.
Okay, well, I would just like to see the vote.
I proudly voted yes.
It did. It was 6-1. I was
voted
the
yes,
only no.
too.
I was the only no.
Any others? Poll council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Absolutely unequivocally yes.
Mr. Foltz,
That far, but yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Miss Alamin,
Yes.
Miss Graves,
No.
Mrs. Green,
No,
Mrs. Green,
no,
thank you. Mrs. Lavender Norris,
Yes.
5-2.
Motion carried. 6.5 was our addition. And it's a resolution. Resolution of the Council of the City of Coatesville, Chester County, Pennsylvania, accepting the retirement and separation from employment tendered by City Manager Michael Trio, and authorizing a separation agreement between the city and the city manager. Whereas the City of Coatesville, the city is a third-class city operating by means of a home rule charter. And whereas the city manager, Michael Trio, has tendered his retirement and intent to separate from his employment with the city effective 12:01 a.m., August 11, 2020. And whereas it is the city's intent to accept the city manager's retirement and separation effective 12:01 a.m., August 11, 2020. And whereas the city and the city manager desire to enter into a separation agreement to clarify the terms and conditions of the city manager's retirement and separation. And now, therefore, be it resolved by the Council of the City of Coatesville that the City of Coatesville accepts the retirement and separation of City Manager Michael Trio effective 12:01 a.m., August 11, 2020. And the city does hereby authorize the President of City Council to enter into a separation agreement providing for payment of 3 months of salary and medical benefits as 12.2 weeks of accrued compensatory time to Michael Trio, subject to certain terms, conditions, and waivers acceptable to the city solicitor. In witness whereof, the Council of the City of Coatesville has adopted and enacted this resolution this day of August 2020. So I need a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Ms. Green, Mr. Folks,
Thank you.
questions, comments?
Madam President.
Yes.
I'd like to take the time to thank Mr. Trio for the 5 years that he contributed to the city of Coatesville. Particularly, you know, it was his idea, him and Dick Miles, for the Grand Prix. And the Grand Prix will continue, although we're not going to have it this year. The Grand Prix will continue next year. And hopefully, it, you know, gets bigger and better. And, you know, that's something that Mr. Trio can hang his hat on.
Any others? Is someone else speaking, or is that background? I also, Mr. Simpson, would like to take the time to thank Mr. Trio for his service while he was here, and wish him well in his future endeavors. And thank him for the many projects that he's been involved in. And we look forward to the Grand Prix next year, and I'm sure we'll see Mr. Trio there. God willing, we are too. I bid you Godspeed, Mr. Trio, and wish you all the best to you and your family. Okay, if there are no other questions or comments, full council.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Ms. Alamin,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes. I would just like at this time to inform the public, staff, and everyone that Mr. Logan will, as of 12:02, August 11th, will be our acting city manager. So congratulations to you, sir, and thank you for stepping up and keeping the city going forward. Anybody that has any questions or concerns going forward, Mr. Logan will be the one you reach out to. Yeah, the door's open. They're coming for you now, Mr. Logan. But seriously though, we appreciate you. We thank you. And for the members of the public, our residents, our surrounding municipalities, I will take this time to put Mr. Logan up front for you to see and hear and recognize as we move forward. I'm sure our residents recognize him because he's been very visible in our community. So thank you, sir.
Thank you, and thank you for
Thank you,
this opportunity.
Mr. Logan.
Thank you.
Would you like to say something at this point, or you want to wait till your comment?
I'll wait till my comments. Thank you.
Very well. Okay, so we have to close now.
Make a motion to close action items.
I'll second.
Okay.
Full council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Alamin,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Green.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Logan.
Thank you. Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes. And we'll move on to our discussion items. Are there any discussion items regarding our past minutes, meeting minutes?
I just want to say, thankful that they did go back and revise the June 25th minutes, and going forward, can we just make sure that we're really capturing what's going on at the meetings with the minutes?
And I agree with that. And
Are there any others regarding the meeting minutes? Okay, let's move forward to the fireworks, September 6th. It's been changed from the 5th to the 6th. Mr. Logan, would you like to expound on that?
Sure. I'm happy to say that based on several conversations and meetings with our Unity Day committee, we were unfortunate not to be able to have Unity Day as well as our fireworks, which a lot of folks come out to see. But the committee did decide to offer something I think is better, and that's a Labor Day celebration with our fireworks. So that will take place on September 6th, which is a Sunday. The company that has been working with the city of Coatesville has actually been very flexible in this year's pricing. So I'm very happy to say that I think all of the committee members for Unity Day would be happy. And we're looking forward to putting on a wonderful display this Labor Day weekend for our residents and neighbors throughout the community.
I have a question, Mr. Logan.
Yes.
So this is just going to be fireworks. We're not going to have all the other things that we normally have on Unity Day, right? Just fireworks?
That is it, just fireworks. Now we will working with the police chief and fire department. We still will have to close 30 and 82 for approximately 45 minutes for the displays. And our fire department will be coordinating with the fireworks company as they did last year, all of the logistics and safety measures.
Okay, but there'll be no gathering at Gateway Park?
There will be no gathering. There will be no gathering on behalf of the city. We are not inviting people to gather in Gateway Park.
Okay,
If people happen to gather there, because you and I know it's a great place to see the fireworks, that is not a city promoted event.
But we're encouraging them to come out.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any way we can block off the park so that they don't? Because we're not practicing social distance if we ignore the fact that people are going to be coming in there to watch the fireworks. I think, we're sending the wrong message. I think we need to.
That orange fencing.
Yeah, but we're not.
Still have that?
We're
We're going to
having,
put fencing around Gateway Park?
well, we're not having anything in Gateway Park, but if all council members feel that we should put a fence up, we can do that.
Because people will, it's the
Yeah, they're
fireworks,
gonna-
so people will want to congregate there to
Mhm.
watch the fireworks. So we may want to close that off just to
I
dissuade
agree,
people
because
from
there's,
gathering.
Promote social distancing.
Yes.
Discourage
I agree,
mass.
because they're you can see the fireworks all through Coatesville. So I agree that we should block off Gateway Park.
I missed the reason
Mr.
from Saturday to Sunday.
Better pricing.
I'm sorry.
We got better pricing and its availability for the company as well.
Mr. Logan, is there any way that we can live stream fireworks? I might be asking a lot.
If someone would like to, as far as the city, we don't have, the equipment to do that, but
Okay.
I'm sure we have some very talented people that might be listening this evening, from Justin Chan to Fonz Newson to some others that might be able to volunteer their services to do that. It's a great idea.
Get the drones in the air, fellas.
Hey, I'm just happy everybody's celebrating my birthday weekend with fireworks. Thank you.
Me
I'm
too.
gonna see if Caden will let me borrow his drone, Linda.
He will, but you gotta
September
let him
6th
stay
is my
tonight.
daughter's birthday.
Okay.
Great. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir. On to the census request for outdoor questionnaire and taking. Want to expound on that?
Yes, I received a call a couple weeks ago from the Census Committee. And they would like to request an area where they can encourage individuals to fill out a questionnaire and, pretty much work on their census. Yes, the census taking. So they are going to put in a request for an outdoor location. That location is to be determined. I don't have the exact area yet, but they wanted me to share with council this evening to make the request for them to set up somewhere in the city. It could be at Gordon Elementary. They're also reaching out to the library in front of City Hall. They have their own tent. It would be a table. It would be attended. They will be practicing social distancing, as well as providing, I think, hand sanitizer for folks. But it's just a request for a location as to complete the census this year.
Gateway Park.
Well, I think that's super important that the census gets done. It's super important that everybody gets counted. So, I mean, I think that sounds great. Hopefully, Gateway Park or the library both get a lot of people walking by. So hopefully that discussion with those venues go pretty well for them.
Mhm.
I agree. It's very important. The very things that a lot of our residents are seeing and saying we're lacking can be addressed if everybody fills out their census reports and understands that filling out the census, you're protected. The information that you submit cannot be shared to be held against you in any way whatsoever. So please be mindful of that and fill out your census for the very things that you're saying you want in the city. The census can help us to provide them to you.
And I actually included this email. It is on the back page of your, in your packet, the back page of the items of discussion, the actual email from the recruiting assistant. They're looking at September, well, they're looking to start as soon as they can, but the actual, you know, just being
September
outside.
6th.
Yeah, and that will go into September 30th.
Mr. Logan, are they still looking to hire people to do the census or no?
I'm not sure if they're still looking to hire. I can certainly ask. I can certainly ask Joy if they're still looking for any recruit.
Also, be mindful that the president of the president of the United States is looking to cut the time back that he had open originally for the census. So it's very necessary that we do this as soon as possible. Anyone that has not filled out your census, please do all you can to get that filled out, because it'll be a help to our community.
I did mine.
Thank you, sir. I did good. Okay. 7.4, Coatesville Biz Pop.
Yeah, this is, again, I just want to bring this to the attention of council and maybe have some discussion on it. As you all may know, we are in our 7th week of our business startup program in partnership with Kutztown University, the SBA and SBDC. It's been a very successful program to date. And one of the things that we had planned for the graduation part, or the capstone, was to do a business pop-up. The idea stemmed from just what we're seeing throughout communities with outdoor open air markets. But we actually had this idea before COVID hit. We were going to plan to have it indoors, but again, now with COVID, it's going to be much better outside. So the idea is to have a, as I said, a pop-up open air with approximately 10 to 15 vendors. They will be located on the 3rd Avenue lot there, spread out. And what we're trying to do is to showcase the small businesses and emerging businesses here in the city of Coatesville. You all may be aware that we recently had a new business open, one of our food trucks, which was very successful and has been successful for the past 3 weeks. We also have 2 other businesses that will be opening soon. One is St. Stan's, which is a entertainment / performing arts area. which is basically remodeling St. Stanislaus Church up on the west end. So we're very excited about that. So businesses are coming to Coatesville, and what I'm happy to see is the fact that businesses are actually opening during this time. So this business pop-up is a one-day event. The hours may be from 12 to 6. We haven't really nailed down the hours. We're looking to do this the last weekend of this month. And we're excited because there's some wonderful new businesses that have been participating in this program, and it gives them an opportunity to showcase their products and services.
Also,
Yeah,
there's one other business that opened. They're looking to have a ribbon cutting. However, that's the restaurant Bobo's, formerly the Famous or the Pool Bar. I recognized over the weekend that they were open. I stopped in, and it's exciting to see the new businesses opening their doors, even in a time such as this.
Yeah.
And I look forward, and I'm excited about the ribbon cutting coming forth.
And they had a virtual ribbon cutting for Mimi's favorite things.
Yes.
That was nice. And she's open, and she has some wonderful things over there.
Yes.
Right. She's in
Yes.
the Midway Arts Building.
Yes.
I think the Biz Pop is a really cool idea, Mr. Logan. Pop-ups, it's so funny because I've been studying in my marketing class. Pop-ups are so popular now. They're so fun and interactive. Hopefully, especially if you can if your target market is younger folks like millennials and Generation Z, if you make it interactive or something that people want to take a picture with, that tends to be really popular to continue its marketing. So I can't wait to see what these business owners come up with and do for the pop-up. It just sounds really
So
awesome.
does that mean you're going to volunteer and help me?
if you need some help with that committee, I'm willing to do that.
Yes, definitely. That'd be great. Thank you.
The grand opening for the restaurant is first week of next month.
Wonderful.
It's the 5th. It's on a Saturday. We're getting everything together, me and Mr. Green, and try to get some heavy hitters out there. So we're setting that up.
Great.
You said the 5th?
Yes. It's going to be the 5th.
All right.
Wait a minute. Yeah, we are in August. Yeah, September the 5th. That's what we're looking at.
Awesome.
But no specific time yet.
No.
Okay. Very well. Please keep us informed so we can participate and congratulate them. Okay. Citation grace period.
Yes, I wanted to bring this to council for discussion. We have been working in the codes department to come up with a better process when it comes to citations. If you recall, last year we had part of our citation procedure was instant tickets. We did away with instant tickets, and now we're using what we call red tag. And these red tags are issued for anything from high grass to, just violations of our city ordinance, from trash, high grass, permits that have not been issued. And what we're trying to do is just really get a better handle on it. So the process that we have right now, it's flawed because there's inconsistencies. For example, if there's high grass in a resident's backyard or front yard, and a red tag is issued, that particular resident has up to 10 days to do something about it. On the 11th day, we should issue another red tag or a ticket or citation. But what we've been doing is just to, work with the residents and make it a little bit more communal. We've been, sorry about that. Trying to save power for the city. What we've been doing is,
Talk quicker.
yeah, we've been calling the residents that may have the high grass and trying to, negotiate when they're going to take care of it. Well, this has gone on. It just extends way past the 10-day, 15-day, 20-day, and even a month. And we just have to get better at it. So I sat down with our code supervisor, and we have come to an agreement that according to our city ordinance and the actual structure of citations, on the 11th day, that individual will be cited again. And moving forward, I think we need to just re-examine the citations and the enforcement of some of those citations that we give out.
Okay.
Yeah, we've tried all kinds of things, James. At one time, they would get cited every day, and we had to walk back on that because the court would not honor that. And then we went to the
Instant.
Instant ticketing.
The court would throw, the one court would throw that out because we were kind of taking away their position. So I think that whatever the ordinance is, I think the problem is us just enforcing it. Because it's there and we're not enforcing it. I think that's the problem, is that we just have to enforce it, that in the event that they have that 10-day period, on that 11th day, we need to make sure that it's documented that on that 11th day, they're getting a fine. We're checking it and they're getting a fine.
Right. And the process is, the citation is issued. So that's step one. Step two, they have 5 days to file. So our department will have 5 days to file that to our court.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a 10-day period where, the case can be plead. And I've been informed that, sometimes the hearings can last, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, up to a month. But the first two steps are very important, issuing the citation, getting it to the court sets the date, and from there, the judge will make his ruling. And I think if we come to the courts with the citation early on and not allow a series of citations to accumulate, I think we may get a little bit more positive activity on the issue.
Yeah, but it's on us to enforce it.
Correct.
You know what I mean? It's already on the books. We just have to enforce it, that if we go out and we give them that 10-day, that ticket, somewhere it needs to be documented and an alert needs to be generated that the 11th day they get the fine. You know what I mean? So that we're not just remembering it or something. There should be some type of notification or alert in the computer on a daily basis on the time frames that, okay, today these people we need to check, or
Right.
these residents we need
There's
to check.
code
You know what I mean?
software out there that will do that. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
we decided to stay with MyGov.
Yeah.
Okay, so we don't have that type of software, and we can't program that, right?
No, and Councilman Simpson is correct. We are looking at, better software that can help, facilitate faster return on this. And again, we're not trying to penalize residents or anything, but
Yeah.
after 10, 15, 20 days, if you have high grass, it is part of our city ordinance to remove it. Again, we're just trying to do our part in keeping the city health and safety.
Does LTL help us with that?
No.
So we're relying just on the one guy. So we have to find some type of notification system or alert system. Otherwise, it's going to always be
Problem.
Yeah. Why I thought they would. Why don't they help with that?
We have them as a contractor for commercial and residential inspection.
That's it. Okay.
Yeah, and this is more of a quality of life.
So they don't do quality of life, okay.
Well, they do, but we would be paying a lot more for the contracted services.
Mr. Logan, and I would like to say what, some of the issues, tall grass, trash, tall grass can bring many other issues, mosquitoes, ticks, snakes, mice, and just the view of it, it's not very pretty to look at, and no different if there's trash accumulating outside of a property, furniture. We want to make our city look better. So we can't, we have to hold everybody accountable, owner occupants. If the renters are supposed to cut their grass, the renters, the landlords, we could do better, a lot better in that area. And I agree with Mrs. Green. We have the ordinance, and it is our job to make sure that we are following those ordinance. Otherwise, why do we even have the ordinance?
I agree.
There's also the need for support.
Yep.
In the codes department.
Yes.
Recognizing that LTL isn't contracted for it, and it's, that just leaves the supervisor and the administrator in there, Stacia. We have to provide them with the support needed. And, if it's a quality of life person, something we need, we're in a position now where we have a skeleton crew. At this point, we're gonna have to, with our budgetary season coming up, we're gonna have to look into putting some meat on those bones in a couple of our departments because of the concern of the appearance of our city and the safety and welfare of our residents. Because as Ms. Alameen was saying, high grass can bring many other issues, and we want to avoid.
I've always said we got public works riding around all the time. I don't know why they can't report some of this stuff to the codes department.
Three, because they got three of them. We still need some other people.
Yeah, but
They
they're riding
can
around in the
report.
city. They're riding around in the city and they see this stuff. All they got to
They
do
could
is
just
write down
take
an
notes.
address.
They
Well, they
could take note of it, but again, it's one thing to be aware of it, but it's another thing to have the manpower to address it. At one point, I know a few years back, we would give a citation, we would give a warning, we would give a citation. We would also let them know that if it isn't taken care of in a specific amount of time, that the city may or would come out and take care of it and charge the resident.
Okay.
But we're not in a position to do that either because we're still shorthanded. So something has to be done. I don't have a silver bullet,
But the bottom line, those departments have to, we have to increase both of them a little, just a little, even if it's just a little. The
Yeah, but
codes
even,
are just
even if we're not looking at all the individual residents, just looking at First Avenue and Lincoln Highway,
Mhm.
that the responsibilities of those owners, Mr.
Yeah.
DePetris, and we need to be on him. I will say that they did go through town and cut down the weeds on the sidewalk, and that looks a lot better. But there's
Yeah.
still, and I definitely appreciate that. But the corner of First Avenue and 82, and then even our Cellar Middle, hold them responsible to cut those trees
right.
along
Right.
First
Growing through the
along
fence.
Lincoln Highway.
Well,
know, that would make it look so much better out there.
Right.
So those are some
And
things
that sidewalk.
jump on. And I saw Mr. DePetris down there Friday with a gang of people
Yes.
showing his area. I'm like, it would probably be more attractive if it was cleaned up.
Yeah, I'd rather get the codes department to start doing some of that than hiring more codes people and cutting police officers like Mrs.
Yes.
Green said earlier.
Mhm.
I think we need full contingent of police officers.
Even if we did part-time and stuff, we just gotta figure out a way.
We'll be working on it.
Okay.
The question, while we're discussing that, vehicles on the road that are inoperable. And when I say inoperable, I mean no registration, they have not been moved, have been ticketed. The vehicles, is that codes or is that police?
Oftentimes it's mainly police, but the codes department and the police department are working together. As a matter of fact, I think Chief is, if Chief is still on, Chief, if
Yeah,
you just.
I can speak to that, Mr. Logan. Any vehicle that's left abandoned on the street is the responsibility of the police department under the vehicle code and our city ordinance. 48 hours if it's not inspected, registered, and in a safe condition, safe operating condition, after 48 hours can be removed and deemed abandoned. Those that are on the private property, that becomes the codes issue, strictly under the city ordinance for abandoned vehicles on private property. So just as an example, Lieutenant Audette and I towed 12 vehicles last week that we had stickered and given 48 hours to move, and they failed to move. So we actually removed 12 abandoned vehicles from the streets from the east to the west end last week. So we are addressing it as we see them. And our meter enforcement officer, she's out and about quite a bit, so she gets to recognize which vehicles aren't moving. And she makes a running list and makes sure that the officers are advised of that list, and that the lieutenant and I are too. So we are trying to address that issue. We realize it's a quality of life issue, and we take care of the streets, and codes has to take care of the private property.
Now,
Thank
if
you.
it's on private property with the shortage that we have, can we change the ordinance that police can handle those too? Since we don't have the codes people and the private contractor that we have does not do it. Can we do that, Tony?
Probably not.
No?
Can I say, I don't know. Well, now I know that we can't change the ordinance, but at one point, there was room for the codes when it was enforced that you could not have unregistered vehicles even on private property.
Yeah, you can. That's still in
There's
effect.
an issue even to the extent that there were not allowed to be car covers, vehicles with car covers on private property. It was that detailed. I don't know if anything has changed or not, but we definitely need to look into it, because for me personally, the vehicles are an issue.
That ordinance, Linda, is still active. I was asking Tony if we could create the ordinance that the police would be able to do the private property, since we don't have the codes people to do that.
Right. Would it be possible for it to be done by resolution, Tony?
I don't think you can authorize the police to enforce the codes. You're gonna have to have a codes officer do that. Just there's a distinction between law enforcement and code enforcement that you really can't cross that bridge. And right now, the police department enforces the motor vehicle code with regard to abandoned vehicles, but that's on public ways, not on private property.
Only. Okay. Thank you. So we really need to,
Yeah, we have to
focus
increase
on
that
the food
department,
department.
both of them, public works and
Yes.
food.
Yeah,
All around. Police, public works, everything.
what happened at,
I said everywhere, police, public works, everything. We need to increase them all.
But we don't need to increase police.
Why did I know you were gonna say that?
Well, we don't. We have state police are not that far away. They can help us if we need. Come on,
Really?
Pretty
really?
high percentage of our budget.
Well, they charge municipalities now for coming into
Yeah, I
there.
know they do.
Yeah,
really?
yes.
I wasn't aware of that.
That's if
Yeah.
they're doing your sole policing, Linda. And if they do, it's when they're doing your some communities don't have police departments at all, like Honeybrook,
Right.
they contract to the state police.
Hmm.
Oh,
Maybe we could get them to do write tickets,
yeah.
banning cars.
Okay, so that's our discussion item. Now we can move on to our reports. Mr. Verway?
Madam
you're up,
President,
sir.
Madam President, I didn't want to jump the gun there. Since our last meeting, I have worked on personnel matters for the city, prepared resolutions. I've worked on real estate matters. I've also worked on some contracting matters with regard to ongoing projects and addressed other legal issues with the city manager and acting city manager. And that is an overview of my activities since our last meeting. If anyone has any specific questions, please let me know. If not, that is my report respectfully submitted.
Are there any questions from council? Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Mr. Logan?
So my report's going to be a little brief this evening, partly due to it being a transitional week. There are several engineering grant and other development updates that require further examination. So I will provide that with council with the full report at our next public meeting. But just some of the highlights that are still pretty much moving forward. As I mentioned earlier, in terms of some of the new businesses that are coming to Coatesville, we are, very happy the relationship and the partnership we have with Kutztown University on this entrepreneur program. That's going well. Update from the quick update from a July 8th meeting with Representative Christy Houlihan's office. She is working on a panel discussion that will take place actually this Thursday at noon. And it's to discuss the challenges in entrepreneurship here in the city of Coatesville. So we had an opportunity to meet some of our emerging businesses, and now she is working toward, having open roundtable discussions about some of the challenges here. So we're very excited about that panel discussion to take place on the 13th. As I said earlier, we're happy to see, businesses open here in the city of Coatesville. I'm working closely with Second Century Alliance and other stakeholders in terms of business development. We're excited that Activated and New Heritage Properties are doing some great things on the West End. And in addition to that, there are several landlords that are doing some great things with their apartments in lieu of in lieu of the COVID pandemic. We all know there's a moratorium on evictions, and a lot of the landlords in the city of Coatesville have been stepping up and really providing some great resources and understanding to the residents. So that all ties into our business development, which is great. I mentioned Simple Shrimp food truck earlier. They launched on Saturday, July 25th. I understand that she's been selling out almost every weekend since then. So that's great news. And Councilwoman Lavender Norris, you mentioned Bogo's Restaurant, and Councilman Folks, you'll be working with their for their grand opening celebration. So that's really great. So that's pretty much is what's happening on the community development side and the business side. On the community awareness side, the Chester County Department of Emergency Services continues to monitor the storm, even though it's passed, and I hope it continues to kind of go through. But we did suffer some damages week of August 5th, and in several areas of the city, we had power outages. We had some flooding on 3rd Avenue, 4th Avenue, 11th Avenue. We had our public works guys out there. We had our police department, fire department, all working together to manage and mitigate traffic issues. And, everyone just kind of came together to really, step up their efforts in making sure people were safe and getting from work into home during that storm period. So some of the power has not been restored in some homes. As of last Friday, I think there was just in the county, there's about 37, actually in this area, there was about 3,700 homes still left without power. So PECO's been working very hard to get out and restore power for some individuals that still may be out, maybe without power right now. As far as community awareness and public awareness, as I mentioned earlier, the Census Tracking Committee plans to put a table out or a booth out in the community, and we're excited that they will do that. We also have kind of a local community group that will be putting out a voter registration. That's going to be September 19th. That's to kind of a get out to vote for all parties. And I don't know at this particular time, but it's nice to see that the community is coming together to make sure that everyone is getting out to vote this year. On the COVID front, we still have testing that's taking place at Gordon Elementary School. The hours may change, but they are there on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 5:30, 12:30 to 5:30. As of July, I haven't looked at the recent board yet, so I can't give you the actual number of cases. We might be, well, I don't even want to guess because I have an old.
At one point, weren't we at like 180, 186 or something like that?
Yes, we were. As a matter of fact,
That's where we're at right now, 186 as of today.
right. So 186, and we have a 995 negative tests for the city of Coatesville. So that's, again, I always try to look at,
Half and half.
and we just have to keep reminding people, practice safe social distancing, wash your hands. These little things are working, and if we can continue to do that, I think Coatesville will continue to be able to fight this. So again, the Gordon Elementary is open from 12:30 to 5:30. If you haven't been tested, you can just walk right up and get tested, and the response is pretty quick within 7 days. There was a backlog a couple of weeks ago, but it seems to be kind of they resolved that, so the results should come back within 5 to 7 days now.
County says you got to make an appointment for there.
Across the street? No, you can.
Yeah, Gordon, the county has it on their website that you got to call and make an appointment.
But you can register, and there's a button
You can still walk in.
Yeah, Yes, sir. Yeah. On Saturday, excuse me, on September 6th, I mentioned the Labor Day fireworks. And just for consideration, I received a request from the Fish Rodeo leader. They would like to have the Fish Rodeo back over at the Brandywine for consideration of October 9th through 12th. For those of you who are familiar with the Fish Rodeo, it's an opportunity for young men and fathers and boys and fathers to come out and fish. The Brandywine right over where the gazebo is and the splash pad is stocked with fish for that weekend. I have asked Dave Terry to provide us with a summary of how this particular year would look different because of COVID, and he is working to deliver that to us. So I should have something for you in the next couple of weeks on that. But again, that's the Fish Rodeo for October 9th through 12th. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you,
Sure.
sir.
Sure.
And are there any questions for Mr. Logan?
Yeah, I forgot to, Eagle Trash Company, they're missing a lot of trash. I just got a hit on Facebook to mention, should they call in if Eagle didn't pick up their trash?
Yes, they can call Eagle, and Eagle has negotiated a policy with them. If they did miss a trash day, they should be out there 24 hours after that. Same with recycle. And if not, folks can call the city hall, and again, we will relay that information to Eagle.
Mr. Booth, I've given out Eagle's phone number and to a couple people, and I got return phone calls that Eagle took care of it when they called.
Yeah, they're very prompt, and
Yeah.
I mean, some days they've missed. The storm certainly is slowing things around. They've had a employee issue because of COVID, but we have been working with them, and you're right, Councilwoman Green, they usually get back fairly quickly.
There was, in fact, in their contract, a penalty for not doing pickups also.
That is correct. And we hold their feet to the fire for that.
Right.
Have they ever paid the penalty?
No, because they've either, come back a day or two afterwards. So never
I
had
thought
to.
the contract only gave them 24 hours to get it rectified.
When I had the resident call them, they came back the same day.
Any other questions or comments for Mr. Logan? Okay, Mr. Troutman, our finance director.
Madam President and council members, I have a few updates. The first would be regarding the 3 pension commissions had met on July 23rd. They conducted standard business, including a review of the results. The results in the pension plans are favorable year to date. The plans weathered the market correction that occurred in March, and the investment managers were extremely complimentary of the basically 2 points. One, they attributed the returns to staying the course of the investment strategies and the city decision to invest a portion of its annual requirement earlier than it typically would. Historically, we would be paying in December our annual required portion. We started to do a change in the approach to do what's called dollar cost averaging, spreading out your investment influxes so that you get average returns, or in this case, we benefited greatly by doing that initial payment when the market was down. The investment managers said a few of their clients, but not many, had done our approach. So again, they were complimentary of the way the pension commissions had stayed the course. So we will be submitting another installment consistent with the dollar cost averaging approach for the end of August. One specific action that was taken by the non-uniform pension commission was they voted to deny a former employee their pension based on a felony guilty verdict conviction under the Pennsylvania Pension Forfeiture Act. The individual was sent a registered letter and does have the right to appeal. The segue from the investment under the dollar cost averaging approach, we put $500,000 in earlier this year into the pensions. Our cash position at this point is basically the same as it was last year, even though we put the $500,000 in already as part of our commitment. So our cash flow is doing really well this year. The tax receipts are tracking nicely, and so far, we have not seen a significant impact from COVID on our primary taxing receipts.
We're not doing a big payment to the pension plan at the end of the year.
I'm sorry, Ms. Green, can you repeat that question?
We're not going to have any big surprise payment that we got to pay to the pension plan.
No, typically we would pay $400,000 in September, early October, which would be a pass-through from the state's funding to us that's required to be remitted within 30 days. And then historically, the city's portion of approximately $1 million would go out in December, just before the deadline. In this case, as mentioned, we have $500,000 of our commitment paid, and the plan is to put $250 in at the end of August, and then only require about $250 in December. So that's the plan, and it follows a fundamental tenet of investment by dollar cost averaging. And if I may, continuing with the report is regarding the COVID. As everyone is aware, the council's decisions to have the face period extended through July 31st has ended. So effective August 1st, the penalty phase will be in effect for taxes and licenses. We also, in August, will be repaying anybody who accidentally paid penalties in July or prior. So far, there's 9, possibly 10 individuals that we will be remitting money to, and it's roughly $100 to $150 is what the amount will be. So the 2019 delinquent solid waste that the city has been collecting was not turned over immediately to Portnoy. The good news is that there's roughly 131 owners took advantage of paying the city directly. It was an extensive amount of labor-intensive work on the city's part, but the good news is it saved homeowners probably about $6,000 in fees that they didn't have to pay by taking advantage of that. Unfortunately, there's still about 230 delinquent solid waste payments due from 2019. Of that 230, 30 of them are dumpster corporate commercial scenarios of $25. So we have to, as a city, figure out a way to do those cost effectively, but yet collect the funds that are due. And the other 200-ish would be turned over to Portnoy to pursue the standard 7-step process, of which, to recall the process, the first step is that there'll be a friendly reminder sent to those that qualify. They will, the $45 fee will get added to their amounts due by not taking advantage of paying the city directly. Roughly about 2/3 of the remaining unpaid already have accounts with Portnoy. So it's a continuation of their existing status, generally speaking.
Good job with that, Rick, though.
And Portnoy would now be ramping up again on their efforts to pursue collections on the city's behalf. We're encouraging all residents to make or keep payment plans, so it will keep the legal fees from accumulating. So that's an encouragement we're trying to make to individuals to get the word out. Next topic would be the city received a little over $4,000 from their workers, from their unemployment compensation firm as a dividend refund based on their experience. We get one annually, and it came through as expected, if you will. Last point would be that provided to council members and administration a little bit of explanation about the uniforms and the police uniforms, the clothing and uniform allowance, how it works. And in summary, we budgeted $35,000. We've incurred a little over $30,000, and so the remaining $4,000 favorable, the department believes that they'll be able to stay within budget for the year for the uniforms, for the clothing. With that ends my report, and I'll entertain any questions council may have.
Could you expound or just tease out a little further the clothing and uniform situation, how it's handled?
Sure, Ms. Leavenworth. The uniform and allowance component of the budget in the police department is comprised basically of two major components. The first is the uniform allowance that is contractually agreed to between the police uniform, police contract and the city. Basically, it's $530 for an officer and $1,000 for a detective or administrator in the police department. That's paid in January, and it's essentially those amounts times the number of full-time officers that qualify, and that's the first component. The second component is the city has historically agreed by contract to provide full uniforms or shirts or pants as individual components as needed. And so I'll stop there and either answer questions or defer to the chief if there's more elaboration desired.
I got a question. So that money that we give up front in January is just like a extra whatever. So say they don't need, because we buy the full uniform. So if they need like accessories, but they buy that, but say they don't need the accessories and they don't buy it, it's like $1,000 bonus that they get. So
I would defer to the chief on what items are included or not included in the different, in the allowance.
yeah, the
That's
chief had gave me the idea that like handcuff, different things, but I'm saying, say they don't need any of those things and they don't buy it. It's like $1,000 that they get, because that's something that happens every year. Is that correct?
That,
It
that's
is something-
correct. And
yeah.
under the old way that we were handling it, that was a carryover into the next year. So the officers, just theoretically say it's $500. The officers next year would have $1,000 because they could carry over what they didn't spend in 2020 into 2021. So therefore they would have a balance of 1,000 to spend in 2021.
But they didn't get that money until they spent it. Till
Right,
they bought
until they
it.
spent it,
But
exactly.
now they
Yep.
get it. So it's like
Now
a
they get it
bonus.
up front. So if they spend all their money in January and they need a new pair of boots in July, then it's still on them to buy that new pair of boots.
Yeah, but say they don't need boots. They don't need anything this year. They get $1,000, whether they buy anything or not.
500. Most of the officers get 500.
Yeah.
But the chief had
And
told
that
me
goes toward dry cleaning. That goes towards, uniform maintenance. That goes to flashlights, batteries.
So we don't dry
handcuffs,
clean the uniforms?
gloves. I'm sorry?
So we don't dry clean and clean the uniforms?
No, we do not. The officers pay for that out of their own pocket.
Okay.
So like I said, batteries, flashlights, gloves, handcuffs, all the incidental things that the city does not provide, that they use every day, clipboards, citation pads, just different things.
So
The
the
officers have to
citation
supply that,
pads-
a briefcase for their patrol, to carry their stuff on patrol. All things that are not supplied by the city come out of that uniform allowance.
And the uniform allowance, is that from our union contract?
Yes.
That's correct.
If I may, I'm kind of confused here. If we budgeted 35,000 and we're at 30,000 and most of them get it at the beginning of the year, what's the issue? Why are we even talking about this?
The issue
It's
is,
under
it's
budget.
not an issue, but all I'm saying is like
It always cut further.
It's like, my thing is, before they would get the money if they spent it. Now they get the money whether they spend it or not. So if they needed boots, they would get the money. We would then expend the money. Now we're not expending the money. We just automatically give the money to them, and they just, if they need it, they buy it. If they don't need it, they don't buy it.
But in the
So-
past, the amount was higher.
Yeah, but it was
There
still
was a
expended
need.
when they purchased it, not just giving it to them up front. And if they don't need it, it's like $1,000 bonus until, because
Well,
next year.
there aren't many years where most police officers didn't use up their whole $750 allowance. Now it's 500 for police officers, 1,000 for detectives, 1,000 for the detectives, Carmen. You should have listened to what I said. It's 500 for the police officer, and 1,000 for the
I talked to
detective.
the chief one-on-one, and he told me 1,000, okay?
Well, Mr.
Chief,
Troutman just said
excuse
500 for the
me.
police officers and 1,000.
Excuse me, I brought this up because a few meetings back, there was a question during the accounts payable portion of the meeting. And there was a need for clarity, for understanding, because there was a large payable for uniforms when we as council, some were aware, some were not. I was not aware, however, that the cost that the city was incurring was with regard to uniforms. And I can say I was under the understanding that the officers were accountable for that, when in fact they were not, the city is. So that's why I brought it up, so we could get clarity and move forward, not for a heated discussion, not for argument, just for clarity and move forward.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Linda, Council President, I would agree, and I actually asked that question because
Yes.
when we were discussing the union contract, I thought the same as you. I thought the money that they got in January was all they got. I didn't realize, because the way it was explained to us in executive session by those that attended the union contracts, that these officers got this money in January, and I thought that was it. So Chief, when the officers purchase things out of this money, are they required to turn the receipts in?
Not under the current system, no. Under the old system, they had to get, sort of like a voucher to spend the money. But under the current system, they're given the money up front, and then they're not required
And they,
to.
so they
Yes.
don't have to show that they've spent the money on boots or a briefcase. So if, what Mrs. Green said is, if they don't need anything and they don't spend the money, then it is indeed like a bonus.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
I don't
also,
know, I don't know if I would call it a bonus, but it's, they don't have to, if they don't feel they need to buy anything for that year, which I don't think there's many officers that aren't spending that money. Just a good pair of boots is $250 for one pair of boots nowadays, for police boots. So you can see it doesn't take long to chew through that uniform allowance.
so, but just for clarity, once they spend that money, they don't get any more.
Not till the
Not
next
till
year,
January.
that's correct. Yep,
Right, not until the next year.
right.
So
Yeah.
it's not like once they get that money, when they get that money in the beginning of the year, if they spend it all on stuff, they don't get any money throughout the rest of the year for other equipment. They have to go without if they've spent it on other things. So I thought somebody said earlier, well, once they use that up, now they're asking for more money, but no, once they spend that money, they don't get any more.
I didn't hear anybody say that, but I just think that we should be accountable for the money. That's all I'm saying.
Currently, the money is taxed. Now that they get it up front, it's taxed as income, so I don't think you could require them to produce a receipt for anything because they're being taxed on that money.
Right.
But if we go back, they used to get $750 per officer. And they would spend $750, whether they needed the equipment or not. The
Well,
history
before
shows that they would show that they would spend it, turn in the receipts, and we spent $750 per police officer on average. Now, with the new contract, we gave it to them up front and said, you're only getting $500. So typically, we saved about $250 per officer.
So so when I was talking to the chief, he gave me the number of $1,000. You're saying 500. So
Well,
if we, hold on. So
Okay.
we spent $30,000, and how many officers do we have?
Roughly 29 officers probably this year were eligible for that money.
How much did they get, chief? 1,000 or 500?
Well, the patrol guys got $520 some dollars. Detectives got 500 plus another 500 because detectives have to do suit and tie and different uniforms. So that's why theirs adds up to roughly 1,000. And that's the difference between a detective and patrol officer.
So
So
for
that's-
29 officers, that's so we're at 30,000. That doesn't add up.
No, Ms. Green, if I can jump in here, this is Rich, is the math, the simple math is 27 officers at $530 plus 8 detectives at 1,000, which also includes the chief and lieutenant as being eligible. The total was 22,310. That's the theoretical amount that would be paid in January for the allowance. The remainder of the $35,000 budget was for uniform costs, full uniform costs that we are contractually responsible for according to the contract, for specifically part-timers or when we hire them, or for full-time replacement of shirts or pants. So in this case, in this year, we had the full replacement because of the switch of providers. But that comprises the bulk of the $35,000 budget.
$20,000.
And to Mr. Simpson's point, the department has looked at the remaining needs and feel that it will be less than the $4,000 that's allotted, or about the same. So they're expecting to come in within budget.
Thank you, sir. Very well. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay. That does it for that report, and that does it for all reports. And we're on to our citizens' hearings on non-agenda items. Do we have any?
Do we have any, Ruth Ann?
No, we don't have any.
Thank you. On to our, do I need to close or no? Mr. Verway,
Yeah.
can I get a motion?
I'll make a motion to
I'll make a
close.
motion.
Everybody said it at once. I don't know who's,
Don't matter.
can I get a motion?
Make a motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Poll council, please.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt? You're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Alamy,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Green,
Yes.
Mrs. Lebanon Norris.
Yes.
7.
On to our special event. Receive and consider the Fish Rodeo event on October 9th, 2020 to October 12th, 2020 at the Riverwalk. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion.
Is there a second? I'll second.
Okay, go ahead.
My phone is dying, so I have to hang up.
Questions, comments? Carmen, if you're still there, Carmen, as soon as we vote on this, it'll be council comments. You could go first before you.
Okay, 'cause I got like 5 minutes on my phone and I'm in my car right now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
Are there any questions or comments regarding the rodeo?
I talked to Dave, what was that, Saturday? They were down there cleaning up. They had a little cookout down there, cutting a lot of stuff down, so they're starting to get ready for it. So I'm really looking forward to that rodeo, and Dave's a good guy. Just want to put that out there.
Yeah. I have a concern because we are not doing special events in any parks for anyone else. With everything that's going on with the COVID, I'm not sure if that's the fair thing because we have been denying other people.
And I agree. That was going to be my point, the same thing. It's like, I think the fish rodeo is a great idea, and I think we need to move on with things. But if we've been denying everybody else the opportunity to do things in the parks and everything like that, for us to give them the okay to do it, it's just going to open the doors for everybody else wanting to do things that.
And I would have to say that I agree. I love what David does. I love the fish rodeo. But the reality of it is we are in the middle of a pandemic right now. And we just talked about closing off Gateway Park for the fireworks. And we have not even entertained a special event consideration for anyone else. I think that we have to be consistent. We have canceled all the city events, Unity Day, the Grand Prix. We talked about the fireworks on the 6th with closing off the park. How would we ensure that the kids are safe distancing and, you know, they sleep out there on the river walk? And I just think that we have to remain consistent, and we've canceled all of our events this year and no special events in parks. So I don't know. I think we would be doing a disservice to the other people that wanted to put in applications and we weren't even willing to consider them.
And I'm okay if they want to wait for a couple more weeks to see if this thing changes. I don't know, because that's something that could be done, last minute. It's not like Unity Day where we have a lot of things that were,
Yeah,
in
but
place, or the Grand Prix, they pretty much can pull things together. I mean, get the list of volunteers, and I'm okay to wait a couple more weeks to see what happened, what this brings.
But to have them resubmit.
Yeah,
because
I'm
of-
okay with that. I mean, we just, to do it now would be kind of hypocritical.
Yeah, I think that we can't do it now. The parks are not, operational like that, so we can't make the Riverwalk operational like that.
As I said earlier, Dave is going to come back to me with a proposal on how they were going to, conduct the social distancing. So would you like to table it until I get that information, or are you saying no to it altogether?
Yeah, I am until unless we're gonna be doing the same thing, and we're not open to the parks. We're not open to taking that in the parks. So I think that if we're gonna do that, we have to make it available, make everything available.
And the Riverwalk is considered a park.
Yep.
I
And the
agree.
other parks, we're
So-
not doing anything.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
definitely
so
agree.
we should just wait.
Take it off. At this time, we just can't have it, although it is a great
Mm.
time, but
It is a great time. It's a wonderful time.
anything, so.
It's
I
very good for
agree
the
that we
kids in this
should just
community.
give them a cut, wait, see where it's going. And, consider making our decision in September, depending upon where we stand with with regard to the pandemic. Then we
Yeah.
move forward. Okay, so on to council comments. Councilwoman Green.
Oh, hey, I'm running in the house trying to get my charger.
Take your
I just want
time.
to thank everybody for coming tonight who viewed the Zoom. I didn't make any comments regarding Mr. Trio, but I do appreciate his service, and just grateful for the time that we had him here. Just make sure that everybody's aware and stays on top of the census and doesn't let us slip us by. And thank you all for coming out.
Ms. Alameen.
I just want to thank everybody for attending the meeting tonight, all of those that come in on the YouTube, and Laura Shannon Bailey and Wendy Whitaker. I'm glad that people are starting to comment again, because we haven't had that for a long time since we've been on Zoom. I too would like to thank Mr. Trio for his service to the city. I'd like to welcome Mr. Logan as acting city manager. I'm sure you'll do a great job, as you served us very well as assistant city manager. So I look forward to you continuing to serve us. I just want to say I'm really, really happy Council President, to hear your wonderful news tonight. That is really, really great news. And I will continue to pray for you. And I hope that moving forward, all goes well with you and
you.
with your health. And
Thank you.
I just look forward to continuing to move the city forward and addressing certain areas that, you know, we need to get better at, and working on this budget to hopefully get some other areas addressed that we need to address. And I hope everybody has a great night.
Thank you. Councilwoman Hunt?
Good evening, everyone. I too want to just thank everyone for joining in with us tonight and hanging out with us. I want to also acknowledge Mr. Trio, thank him for the service that he has given to us, to the city, as well as I want to acknowledge Mr. Logan and thank you for the job that you've done and the job that you're doing to help keep the city together. I just want to say again to Councilwoman Lavender Norris, I'm so happy with the news that we received today, and I just thank God
Jesus
for his healing power.
Amen.
It's done in your life. I want to just put a little shout out that on September 19th, we're going to do a citywide voter registration for those persons that may not be registered to vote, or just so that they can drop by and make sure that their addresses are correct, that their polling place is correct. So that'll be going on throughout the city. It's not any formal gatherings and all of that. It's just going to be different little tents set up so people can come up and vote. Everyone. So not party specific. It's for everyone. Anyone that's not registered to vote. Your voice needs to be heard, and it can be heard by the power of your pen. So again, I just thank the staff for all that they've done, all that they're doing, and everybody continue to be safe, wear your mask, practice safe social distancing so that we can get this thing under control. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Gray?
Hi, how is everybody? I just want to thank, just like everyone else, thank everyone for tuning in and listening on YouTube and on Facebook and wherever else that this Zoom meeting may be reposted. And thank you to everybody who is rewatching this as well. I do want to say welcome to Mr. Logan as acting city manager. Look forward to continuing to work with you on building up Coatesville to be the city that it ought to be. So thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Thanks very much.
Mr. Folks?
Yeah, you know, I mean, to the city of Coatesville, a lot of shout outs. You know, we had a ribbon cutting not too long ago. The city is moving. Shout out to Wendy Whitaker again. She goes, sets up a little tent, and she goes out and she's everywhere trying to get people to register to vote. So shout out to her for doing that. Mike Trio, I just want to say thank you. I hope you come back for the Grand Prix and be involved with that. And to our residents, keep up the good work. I see a lot of people are doing their front porches. A lot of people are planting flowers. A lot of people are cutting their grass. And I like that. Even though we have a lot of work to do in this city to clean it up, one day at a time, somebody told me. Thank you. Wear a mask, stay safe, wash your hands. Everything's going to be all right. Thank you. Good night.
Ed?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in live on YouTube. Pretty good meeting. I'd like to, there was recently a post on the Coatesville Vintage Grand Prix where when we announced, when we decided that we weren't going to have the Grand Prix this year, they took it in fact as saying that we weren't going to have the Grand Prix anymore. I contacted them right away, said, no, that's not true. We are still having the Grand Prix next year. And for anybody that saw that post on Facebook, we don't want you to be confused. We are going to come back with the Grand Prix and hopefully bigger and better than, we've gotten better and better each year. So again, thank everybody for coming out, and we'll talk to you later.
I want to first mention I have a preliminary, or should I say unofficial request for a letter of recognition for a centurion at Tabernacle Baptist Church. I think it's Mrs. Eggleston, if I'm not mistaken. She'll be turning 100. And they're going to do a drive-by to celebrate her as a centurion here in the city. I did it, the request came from the secretary at Tabernacle, who is Mrs. Pam Depp. And I did inform her that I would bring it to council's attention. And I also needed something in writing before I could put it on the agenda as a formal request. So that will be coming forward. I too would like to take the opportunity once again to say thank you to Mr. Trio. And thank you to Mr. Logan. I'm just excited about the direction the city is moving in. I'm grateful to you because we know what you bring to the table. You showed us, the difference you can make for our community, and I appreciate that. Chief, thank you for your hard work and the way you're conducting your department speaks volumes, and it opens the door to the skeptical people that were under the impression that the city is a horrible place. As we work together, it's very prevalent that the city is not a horrible place. And I encourage anybody that had that thought or heard that before, come to the city, see for yourself, experience us, our residents, our businesses. We're here, we live here. We want you to understand that our city means the world to us. And we share, we care. And to our staff, thank you so much. Rich, your financial abilities has brought us around. Thank you for that. We're moving forward, and it's by the grace of God. So being a woman of faith, I have to say I thank God for our positioning, and I give him all the glory for it. We just have to stay at it. We have work to do. And with the willingness and the ability, it'll get done. The city of Coatesville is rising and moving forward. So to all, thank you so much for coming out, being a part of the Zoom meeting or the YouTube meeting. Thank you for showing your interest. Please, any questions, any concerns, feel free to email them to the city or post them on your prospective website pages that you're on, and we'll get back to you. We may read them publicly in our next public meeting. They may be addressed as they come in, and we could just make mention. However, don't give up. please reach out to us because we need to know what you desire, what you want for the city. And please sign up for get your voter registration, and please fill out your census. They're vital. We have to have these taken care of in order to continue moving forward. So thank you again. God bless, be safe. And can I get a motion for adjournment?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
Whole council.
Councilwoman Alameen, Councilman Ed Simpson, Mr. Logan, please poll council.
Mr. Simpson,
Yes.
Mr. Foltz,
Yes.
Mrs. Hunt,
Yes.
Ms. Alamin,
Yes.
Ms. Graves,
Yes.
Mrs. Lavender Norris.
Yes,
I think Ms. Green is off the line. Is that correct?
yeah, I think her phone went out.
Okay. All right.
So motion passes 6-0. Everybody have a blessed evening.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, everyone.
Good evening.
Thank
Good night.